Welcome to the Action Hero Podcast. Get ready for tales of adventure and carnage, all delivered in a way that will leave you craving more. I'm Adrian, your guide through these epic tales.
And I'm Julia. Every day we break down a new action-packed story, and today's is a wild ride through the world of cyberwarfare redemption and a hacker who just might save the world.
Buckle up, because this one's called Firewall Breach. The story throws us right into the action we meet. Ace, also known as Wraith. This guy's a notorious hacker locked up and facing some serious time. Sounds like a classic anti-hero setup, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. But here's where it gets interesting. Ace is offered a deal by Agent Stone, help take down a hostile cyber warfare network, and walk free. Talk about high stakes. What do you think? Would you take that deal?
Freedom for potentially saving the world. It's a tough call, but the story doesn't let Ace dwell on it for too long. He uncovers the network's targets, hospitals, power grids. This isn't just some random hack. It's a potential digital apocalypse.
This is where the story shifts gears. We go from a typical hacker thriller to something with much higher stakes. Suddenly, we're forced to consider who are the real villains here, and how far is too far when it comes to national security. Ace is facing a serious ethical dilemma.
So Ace is in. He's working with Agent Stone and her team, and they describe the firewall as this next-gen adaptive AI. Sounds pretty intense.
Definitely. This isn't some firewall you'd find on your home computer. We're talking about a system designed to learn and adapt in real time. A brute force attack would be suicide, so Ace has to rely on his unique skills and creativity to find a way in.
And he does. Ace manages to disguise his virus as a routine patch, sneaking it right past the AI. Pretty clever, huh?
It is, and it shows just how skilled Ace is. He's not just a hacker. He understands the psychology of these systems, how to exploit their weaknesses. It's fascinating, really.
But now comes the waiting game, and that's when things start to unravel. Ace gets a look at the true scope of the network, and it's way bigger than he initially thought. He realizes that this could be a global catastrophe.
Exactly. This is where we see the story tapping into the conspiracy theorist trope. Ace stumbles onto something much darker and more complex than he bargained for. It makes you wonder, is there more to Agent Stone's motivations than meets the eye?
Then things escalate quickly. The counterattack begins. Ace's virus is going head-to-head with the enemy's defenses. Talk about tension!
It's a full-blown cyber warfare battle, and Ace is right in the thick of it. The author paints a vivid picture of this digital struggle. You can almost feel the lines of code clashing. And it's here that we really see Ace's skills as the cracker come to the forefront. He's not just breaking in, he's adapting and overcoming in real time.
And just when you think it can't get any more intense, there's another twist. Ace uncovers a backdoor in the hostile code and traces it back to its source. And guess what? It wasn't created by some foreign entity. It was homegrown, right here in the good old US of A.
Talk about a betrayal. Now we're in cavalry betrayal territory. Ace realizes the people he's working with, the very government agency that recruited him, are the ones behind this whole thing.
It's a classic case of the government hiding its true intentions. And now Ace is in a really tight spot. He's stuck between a rock and a hard place.
He's got an impossible choice to make. Does he follow orders and potentially doom the world? Or does he defy the people who hold his freedom in their hands? This is where his character is truly tested. What would you do knowing what he knows?
Well, Ace decides to go full-on action hero. He unleashes his virus, but with a twist. He programs it to self-destruct, crippling the rogue AI and saving countless lives.
It's a powerful moment. Here's this guy, a convicted criminal, choosing to protect innocent lives, even if it means becoming a fugitive and putting himself at risk. What do you make of that choice?
Ace's decision to self-destruct the virus is really intriguing. It throws a wrench in the whole anti-hero trope, doesn't it? Here's this guy who's been operating in the shadows, and he makes a choice that prioritizes the greater good.
It definitely challenges the idea that he's just a selfish hacker looking out for himself. There's a deeper sense of morality at play, wouldn't you say? Absolutely. It suggests that Ace has a strong internal compass, even if his methods have been questionable in the past. He's not bound by the law, but he is driven by a sense of justice.
It's like he's constantly battling with his past actions, trying to reconcile them with his desire to do what he believes is right. What do you think leads him to make that final decision?
I think it's a culmination of everything he's experienced throughout the story. The realization that he has the power to prevent a global catastrophe, the betrayal by Agent Stone, the understanding of the potential consequences, it all comes together to push him towards this selfless act.
And let's not forget the impact of seeing those hospitals and power grids on the target list. That must have been a turning point for him, realizing that real people's lives were at stake.
Without a doubt, it humanizes the threat in a way that abstract data never could. It forces Ace to confront the real-world consequences of his actions.
And let's be honest, his skills as a hacker are a huge part of what makes him so compelling. The way he navigates the digital world, outsmarting firewalls and manipulating code, it's almost like watching a superhero in action.
Absolutely. There's a certain coolness factor to his technical prowess. It taps into our fascination with technology and the power it holds. And the author does a great job of making the technical details accessible even for readers who aren't familiar with the intricacies of cybersecurity.
Right. Even though we're dealing with complex concepts like adaptive AI and malware, it's presented in a way that's exciting and easy to grasp. It keeps you on the edge of your seat, wondering what Ace will do next.
The author's ability to blend action and technical detail is really masterful. You're not just reading about a hack, you're experiencing it alongside Ace, feeling the tension and the rush of adrenaline as he races against time.
And speaking of tension, let's talk about that ending. Ace escapes onto the streets, leaving a trail of chaos in his wake. He's a wanted man again, but he's also a savior. What a cliffhanger. It leaves you wanting more, doesn't it?
It's the perfect setup for a sequel. What will Ace do next? Will he embrace his role as a vigilante hacker fighting for justice from the shadows, or will he try to clear his name and rebate his life?
And what about Agent Stone? Will she continue to pursue Ace relentlessly, or will she eventually realize that he was right all along?
The possibilities are endless. Firewall Breach isn't just a standalone story, it feels like the beginning of a much larger narrative. Ace's journey is far from over.
It's a story that lingers in your mind long after you finished reading it. It makes you question everything you thought you knew about good and evil, about the power of technology, and about the choices we make in the face of impossible odds. So we've talked about Ace's journey, the action, the betrayal, but what about the bigger picture? What are some of the key takeaways you think listeners should walk away with from Firewall Breach?
I think one of the most striking things about this story is how it highlights the blurred lines between good and evil. You have Ace, a convicted criminal, ultimately saving the world from a catastrophic digital attack. And the people we typically see as the good guys, the government agency, turn out to be the architects of this potential disaster. It really makes you question your assumptions.
It's not a simple black and white situation, is it? It raises questions about the ends justifying the means and how far we're willing to go in the name of security.
Exactly. Agent Stone and her agency believed they were justified in creating this rogue AI, this digital doomsday weapon, because they saw it as a necessary evil to protect the world. But that line of thinking led them down a very dangerous path. They ended up becoming the very threat they were trying to prevent.
It's a cautionary tale about unchecked power and the seductive nature of good intentions. It makes you wonder, is there ever a situation where sacrificing individual liberties for the sake of collective security is truly the right choice?
That's the question the story leaves us with. It doesn't offer easy answers, but it forces us to confront these complex issues. Firewall Breach isn't just an action-packed thriller. It's a story that prompts reflection on the world. We live in a world increasingly reliant on technology and vulnerable to its potential dangers.
It makes you think about the responsibility that comes with technological advancements and the importance of ethical considerations in the development and deployment of powerful tools.
Absolutely. In the wrong hands, technology can be weaponized in terrifying ways. But in the right hands, it can be a force for good, for progress, for protection. Ace's story reminds us of that.
It's a reminder that even someone with a troubled past can rise to the occasion and make a difference. Ace, the anti-hero, ultimately becomes a symbol of hope, of the potential for redemption and the power of individual choice.
And that's what makes Firewall Breach such a compelling and thought-provoking story. It's a wild ride full of twists and turns, but it also stays with you long after you've finished reading it, prompting you to question, to analyze, and to consider your own place in this complex world.
Well said. I think you've given our listeners a lot to chew on. Firewall Breach is more than just an action story. It's a story about morality, responsibility, and the choices we make in a world on the brink of technological revolution.
It's a must-read for anyone who enjoys a good thriller with a touch of social commentary and a whole lot of heart.
And that's it for today's Action Hero podcast. We hope you enjoyed our analysis of Firewall Breach. Be sure to rate and follow us for more addictive tales of adventure and carnage. We'll see you in the next episode.
Until next time, keep those imaginations firing, and remember, every day can be an action-packed adventure.